Hey, this is Dizzy Reed from Guns N' Roses, and you're watching GNR Central. Yeah!
Hey everybody, what's going on, and welcome to GNR Central. I apologize for the lateness in getting this out, but of course I have a normal job and then I have a normal life and stuff comes up, so I was a couple hours late in getting this out. But Guns N' Roses played South Africa today, so they played Johannesburg, and it's their first gig since Axl got sick this past weekend when they cut their Abu Dhabi short set a bit shorter than usual, so they only played 2 hours in Abu Dhabi. Axl was recovering from a stomach flu, and they came back out tonight and things seemed to go their way, at least a lot better than they did the last gig. So Guns N' Roses played a full show in Johannesburg. They played about 26 songs according to Setlist.fm. Not a whole lot of surprises in the set list. It did, at least according to Setlist.fm, the encore was cut a bit shorter than usual, but of course Axl's probably still recovering. But they did bust out I Used to Love Her, which I don't think they've played a whole lot on this tour. The last leg of the tour, like in Europe, they were playing it quite a bit, but it seemed like a song that wasn't really played a whole lot. At least I don't remember being played on some of these earlier Asia dates that they've been doing so far. So it seems like things went a lot better, but I did read some complaints from fans, especially those in the nosebleeds. They said the sound quality was awful. In fact, some of the fans left a bit early because they literally could not hear anything. They couldn't hear Axl's voice. Even the other instruments really were difficult to hear. And I know it's not the first time that Guns have had this issue. I think it was the Australia or New Zealand shows. There was one or two of them where the sound quality was horrible. And it was all over the press that some of the fans who were way in the back really had a hard time hearing the sound. So at least it's better now that, you know, Axl's feeling better. The other thing you guys may have missed is that Slash, before the gig, actually did an interview with a local newspaper. It was South Africa Sunday Times, and he talked about a variety of different things. It was a fairly long interview. In fact, Slash has done a couple of new interviews lately. He did one with a guitar publication where he talked all about his guitar setup and his studio and his recording setup, which if you guys are guitar nerds, you'll probably appreciate him more than I did. But the one he did with the Times in South Africa, he talked about his past times he's played South Africa. He toured there with Kings of Chaos, which is kind of like a super group with, you know, Duff, Matt Sorum. I think Sebastian Bach was there. Miles Kennedy was also playing with them. He also talked a bit about his reptiles and his love of snakes. He also wanted to talk about how his top hat still stays on his head after all these years. He was also asked about how South Africans are delighted that the illness that forced Axl Rose to cut the Abu Dhabi concert short did not result in the first local show being canceled. So he said, yeah, Axl got a really serious case of the stomach flu that day. There's little you can do when you get it that bad. It was hard on him, and I really felt for him. But we managed to get through as much as we could of the set. However, he's feeling much better now, so we will be in top form tonight. And, you know, maybe it was one of those things like Norwalk virus. Like, I'm sure you guys have probably got the stomach bug where it's like really intense for 24 hours or 48 hours and you feel a lot better after that. And you know what, when you're a band traveling as much as they do and staying in hotels and being on airplanes, it probably takes a toll, especially when you're almost 60. And it was kind of funny, before he got sick, Guns N' Roses tweeted out a picture of them having Thanksgiving dinner, and Axl was in the photo. And maybe it was that meal that made him really sick. So in the rest of the interview, he talked a bit about his recent album, Living the Dream, and how they came up with the artwork for it. He talked a bit about his childhood and growing up around creative people like David Bowie, Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, and how that kind of influenced what kind of artwork he chose on his latest record. He also talked a bit about how how simplicity is really one of the main drivers behind some of his most iconic guitar riffs, like Sweet Child of Mine. He also talked a bit about his top hat, and even Slash admitted that he didn't know himself how it stays on his head, but he just said it's all these years it stayed on his head. And he talked a bit about how he found the top hat at that store on Melrose Retail Slut. He also talked about some of his favorite brands, including Gibson and Marshall. And then the rest of the interview talked about some of his favorite collaborations. He said Iggy Pop has probably been one of the more standout collaborations he's done over the years. And of course, Michael Jackson. So if you guys want to read the full interview that Slash did in South Africa, I've linked to it down below. If you guys want to see the full set list from the South Africa show, I've also linked to that, in addition to some concert footage as well, so you can see how Axl's sounding since he's coming back from his illness earlier this week. So thanks for watching, guys. Hit the like button, and be sure to subscribe if you love Guns N' Roses as much as I do. Take care.
Bye.